Hello, welcome back to DuckSport. I'm Stuart. This is my 1958 Ford Prefect with a turbo Pinto setup, and today we're working on the engine bay to get all the little bits and pieces in there finished off. So there's various little jobs that still need doing to get the engine bay all completely done. We need to get the inlet manifold properly bolted up, need to get the fuel lines made, the fuel rail installed, some coolant lines, some oil lines, loads of little bits and pieces just to get this thing properly buttoned up. So first of all, we're going to make up some hard lines for both the coolant reroute and also for the oil return. Just finished making up the coolant line. I don't really want to take it back off to show you because it was a pain to get back on, but I'll show you on the car. So it feeds into the water pump behind the alternator. This alternator bracket is a bit of a pain in the arse. As I've got a reasonable amount of room, I might modify this or make a new one top mount so that I can pull the alternator further out. It will need a new belt, but I think that's going to be worth it. So I've made this pipe with room to do that, which just make it run down onto the water pump better. But so you can see it comes up, around, tucks under the alternator, and then comes out, around, and then off that port at the back of the engine. So that's a coolant reroute, and it actually flows the opposite way to the way I've just shown there, and it just helps with the head gasket I'm running to make sure that you get good flow around number 4 cylinder. And so I've got the oil drain made up, just nice and simple. Try to keep it as straight and downward as I could. Just going to drop that on the car now. There you go, there's both the coolant hardline and the oil drain in place. They look so much neater than the silicone hose. Really happy with both of those. I'm super pleased then with how those hard lines have come out. Really worth the investment in getting the proper tools and the right pipe to make those from, so really pleased, happy I did it. Another little job that I've been waiting on bits to do is get the dash pod mounted, and not entirely sure I'm happy with the mounting arrangement, but I am happy with the look. So that's the pods mounted into position. Obviously this bit of wiring and stuff still needs attention. I'm going to make a column surround for that section, but the actual position of the pod and the speedo and tacho I'm really happy with. I think that's going to look great. Unfortunately, the Velcro idea hasn't really worked. The whole pod and gauge arrangement's a little bit too heavy, so it does hold it in place, but just not quite the way I wanted it to. So I'm going to have to look at some extra support for that. Probably I'm going to have to look at a way of bolting it into place, but got to do what you got to do. And with those done, the next little job that I need to do is make up a proper little alternator adjuster. So the bracket that I was using before, it was great, it did the job, but I don't need that much space as I did in the kit car. So for this one then, I'm going to use a turnbuckle and some M8 rose joints and mount the bracket in the original position. So there we have it. Now obviously some of you will be spotting there that the coolant line is running on there. That's because this needs a little bracket just to hold it in place like that. And so then the whole thing is going to be really nice, neat and tidy. So I'm really pleased with that. It's come out really nice. Got a new belt on there, all nicely tensioned up. Job's a good one. Next job on the list then is going to be getting the intake manifold off, getting the fuel rail installed, all bolted down, and then properly mounting the inlet manifold onto the car for the last time. So that took far longer than I expected, but that's all the injectors and fuel rail in. And of course I'm not entirely happy with the injector setup. I've put these little top hats in, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a leak there once we get some pressure on the rail. Only one way to find out though, and if they work, brilliant. If they don't, well, we'll see what happens if they don't. But yeah, that's all back in, so at least now I can start making up the lines. So I need to obviously make a flexi from here, well, from here to here, and then there'll be a return from there, and also the feed which goes down to the other end of the rail. For one evening though, that is enough, so I'll cut to tomorrow. So just a quick little jobs out here this afternoon working on the fuel lines for the car. So I need to make up some flexi lines in between the hard lines and the rail, etc. So for that I'm using braided hard line. It is still braided with a nylon overbraid and it's PTFE line, so it's ethanol safe. Can't get E85 easily here, but you never know, might make an E85 map at some point. So for those of you who aren't aware of the process, it's really simple. Put a bit of electrical tape around where you're going to cut and then cut the hose, and that just stops the braids from flaring. Alright, that's what happens if you don't put tape over the end of your hose when you cut it. And that wasn't me, that was the people who sent it to me. You then want to get your fitting, and the fitting will have a threaded end like that one, and an end to go over the hose like that one. And you want to split that. You'll then have two pieces like that, piece to go over the hose, piece that then bolts back into there. So then, back on my taped end, just going to slide that piece over like that. I've then got my aluminium vice jaws, just slip that in there like so, and then I need two hands to do that up. Okay, so then just do it up. So then do it up so the end is just poking out like that. Hose is nice and firmly in place. Take your other piece and just start doing it up. And then once it's so far in, you'll find you'll need your spanner. So I've got proper aluminium AN spanners. Worth noting as well that there's two sizes of each size. There's a 6S, and this is an 8B on the other end, but the other end would be a 6B for the other size. So if you are going to buy the proper spanners, highly recommend getting the double-ended ones, where you'll get an S and a B of different sizes each end. So, for example, in the Motormech range, you need a silver and a black to get a 6S and a 6B. So, using the 6S end of my spanner then, just finish doing this up. Nice and tight. Get out of there. And there you have it. Now if it actually used black tape, that would look fine. We'll just tidy that up. You can see that is now on there. Nice and tight. Ready to be fitted. Actually, this one I'm not going to use because I'm not ready for another one yet, because I've actually done them all already. So nice thing about these is they're reusable, so I can now just take that off, use it again. So as I said, I've done all the ones to the engine bay now already. There's 3 different ones in total. This one, which goes from the fuel rail into the pressure regulator. One that comes out the pressure regulator and down to the return. And of course, one comes up from the feed over into the other side of the rail. So this area of the bay is starting to get a little bit busy. I think I'm going to get some -10 spacers to tidy these up with. I think that'll just make it all look a bit neater. But that is the engine bay plumbing done, and so that side of it is ready for the first start. However, mentioned earlier, I'm not happy with the injectors and just the way that they're sat with the spacers and all the rest of it. So I decided, put my hand in my pocket, I've ordered some proper Siemens Decker 875cc injectors. They're going to be here next week, so I'll get those fitted before we attempt anything even remotely like a first start. So carrying on working towards getting the engine bay stuff finished, the next little job to do is to make up some custom HT leads. So I bought a kit of HT leads from a company down in Bromsgrove who, Paraspark I think they're called. I'll put the link in the description. So you get a set of 4 leads. You actually get a 5th one for a coil if that's what you need, but I don't. So you get that, and then you get a whole pack of different crimps and boots, and also one of these little sort of disposable crimp tools that you use in a vise. So I'm going to make up them to length so that they sit really nicely over on the hot side of the bay. Because they're on the hot side of the bay, I've also bought a set of these. These are little boots to go over the spark wires so that it protects them from the heat from the turbo and the downpipe. Now, I've never done this before, but you know, the guides will make it look pretty simple, so let's give it a go and make up some leads. First off then, I'm going to measure out the longest one, the one for cylinder 1. I figure if I start with cylinder 1 and I cock it up, I can always cut it down shorter. Okay, so just got this first one in. So it's plugged in down there with the boot on, just so I can make sure it's all going to fit nicely. And then up to there. So I reckon if I cut it off sort of just after there, that should give it enough flex and still look neat once they're all in. Let's give it a go. I'm going to go with the Pack C terminals because they're the ones with the straight boots. I'm just going to double check they're going to fit in the coil pack, and then we'll try our first crimp. Yeah, so for this coil pack, those are the right type, so going to get those on. One thing to remember, you do need to put the boot on first, as you won't get the boot over the terminal. So we're going to go over to the vise, start getting this done. Yeah, so a little bit of grease on there helps just slide that over. So then what we need to do, that's our crimp, we need to push, this might not be long enough. So the idea is that goes round like that, and you crimp it on. Oh yeah, I think that's right, fine. So you can put the cable in here, like so, and then this top side just bends these round a little bit before you use the second side to actually crimp it down. Okay, so just started that crimp with a pair of pliers just to hold it down. Get the two pieces. And line them up in the vise, which since I've done it, I'll get the camera over and show you. Okay, so you start the crimp like that. You just go a little bit further. Cool. Okay, so then I'm going to move to the second side, kind of like that, and we're just going to smush it down with the vise. Okay, there we go. One crimped connection. That's a lot fiddlier than it looks, so I'm not going to waste my time showing you the other ones. I'll just show you the finished articles. And there you go, 4 custom HT leads that I think look really smart. And they all sit in the core pack nicely. These two just foul on the strut brace. These two are beautiful. And I've brought them up the inside of the coolant like that. Yeah, I think they look really smart. So as you can probably tell, the inlet manifold's back off at the moment, and that is because, well, I decided I was going to replace those injectors. I bought some Decker 875cc injectors and be putting the manifold back on with those on in a moment. There you go, that's the manifold back on the car with the new Decker injectors that I didn't show you before. So you can see they're just a much better fit than the old Subaru ones. And they're like nearly twice the size. They're 875cc versus what was 540cc that the old ones were. So they're definitely going to support the power and a little bit more. So pretty much everything now is back together in the engine bay, and the whole thing is starting to look really, really smart. So I'm really pleased with how this is all looking. I've still got to obviously make the boost pipe to go from the charge cooler to the throttle body. I've got the rough mock-up that I made previously, that is going to work. It just needs some tweaks. And there's a few tube lead clips needed here and there, those kind of little bits of finishing touches, the sort of stuff that I'm not going to make you watch and bore you to death. So for this video I am going to cut it off there. As always, thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell next to it so you don't miss any of our future videos. Next time I will be getting the fuel tank sorted, the front end back on, and maybe even a first start. See you then.